Perfect. So, hey everybody, welcome. Cherie Warwick here, head of Black Blockchain Consultants, and yes, official influencer. That's the word for today. We're blockchain influencers over here at Black Blockchain Consultants. So excited and want to welcome you to our first episode, I guess we'll call it, of our Wednesday show, which is going to be all about interviewing blockchain influencers in the space. And we have a very special guest today, Farah Allen of the Labz. So she has a really cool project that she's working on. But before we introduce her officially, I just want to introduce you to Black Blockchain Consultants, some of the things that you're doing so that you can get plugged in. So BBC is the business of blockchain. So we focus on number one, educating 1 million Black people in blockchain. That is our big goal. Educate 1 million Black people in blockchain to help them either get blockchain jobs, start blockchain businesses, or gain wealth from the blockchain through investments, whether it's investments of time or money into projects. And we have a Blockchain 101 class. Our Smart Contracts class just dropped today. Yay! We have a ton of classes in regards to helping you become a 6-figure blockchain entrepreneur or an 8-figure blockchain entrepreneur, or some of the technical aspects of blockchain from a non-tech perspective. So you can go and check that out at blockchainstudies.tech. Also want to let people know that this February the 12th at 8 p.m. we have our blockchain and cyber class coming up. And then on February 19th is blockchain and healthcare. And on February 25th is blockchain and financial services. So if you're interested in any of those, then you can again check that out at blockchainstudies.tech. And we're also going to start doing some platform demos as well. So stay tuned to that. We're going to be sending all of that stuff out by email. If you're not on our email list, or if you want to know more, come to blackblockchainconsultants.com, and there's all sorts of information on the website. So with that, I'm super excited to have our guest here today, Farah Allen. I got a chance to check out the Labz, which is all about music and contracts. So very excited to hear about your project. So welcome, Farah.
Thank you for having me.
So before we talk about the Labz, why don't we take a step back and talk about you? Are you a tech person? Are you a coder? Are you a lot more like me that's just got the gift of gab? Tell us a little bit about your background and yourself and how you got blockchain.
Well, I started my career out in architecture. In architectural construction, and I did project management in architecture. And I was always interested in technology. I mean, a part of architecture is building on different types of platforms like BIM and AutoCAD. And I was always the one figuring these things out for other people and explaining the technology and explaining how we could do things better. And I just really liked that part of it. When it came down to construction and all that stuff, I pretty much learned everything there was to learn about nails and windows and glass. And it was this ever-changing world when it came to technology. So I changed careers, and I went back to school. I got my master's in information systems management, and I went into technology project management. And I really sucked at it the first year or two because I didn't know what I was doing. But when you deal with projects and you deal with all kinds of different projects, different companies, different industries, after a while, I really got the knack for solving solutions using technology, whether it be financial, whether it be cloud computing or banking or airline industry. I would come in and they would tell me what the problem was. I would solve it with some kind of system or some type of process that used technology, and then I would, leave and send it off to the next person. So my background has been in consulting, IT project management, quality control, processes, all of that.
Great, great. And,
Yeah.
we know that there's a huge opportunity for project managers, user design, any kind of quality control, focus groups, things like that within the industry. So
Yeah.
very exciting to hear that. So was the Labz the first blockchain project that you took on, or did you have anything else that you worked on, or?
No, it wasn't the first. It was the first blockchain project. But prior to that, I was working for the elections, elections, city secretary of state, elections, being in charge of like the architectural engineering on how they're going to transfer data from one old legacy system to a new system, and how we're going to see data, how we're going to collect more data. And so, for 2 years, I was deeply enrooted into data security, automation, and that's where I was introduced to the problem for musicians. And finding the solution, I came across blockchain.
So you were
And then
working
I
in the
understood it.
election field, and you discovered a
Yes.
problem with music. You got to tell me 2 more sentences about that. How did that happen?
Well, my husband, he's been in the music industry for years, and one of his jobs at one point was collecting royalties, that money that belongs to musicians from around the world that they weren't receiving. And if they were receiving it for a number of reasons, they weren't owners of it, or they didn't have any documents, or someone wasn't paying them because of some reason, and it was always around documents or them not, the data not transferring from America to another state or to another organization, and he would be in charge of like finding lost money and collecting it. So with him came the community of creators. With the community came me asking them questions. What problems are you having? Really being very consultingly around problems, and then me wanting to help, and then me investigating that sector of people and their personalities and how they like to work and how they work, and all these different little aspects and traits and tics and talks around who they are as people and what technology means to them. And that's how I kind of got way deep into, developing a passion for solving the problem for them. And, creators are really different. They're very unique when it comes to technology. They don't necessarily want it. They want to be creative, and they have something inside of them that they want to put out and bring to the world and make money from. So technology is just there as it's there. It's there for them, but they don't want to have to use it. And so it's building for them is extremely difficult, but it's something that it's our mission, because it has to be super easy. It has to be a number of things for them to want to use something that betters their process at the end of the day.
Well, I am the daughter of a musician as well. My father wasn't a professional. He wasn't, he played background for certain singers. Let me say that. He wasn't front and center. He was one of the background keyboardists and organists and things like that. And when it comes time for payday, the creatives definitely want to be paid. They're seeing all the money flying around, and there's just, there are definitely what's their cut. And the other thing I think is, in terms of, this is not technology, but it's really close to it. We have a problem now of hip hop dances being stolen from the original creators of those dances and placed onto Fortnite and all of these video games. And because these young men, I'll say mostly, because our young men didn't patent or trademark their dances, their signature dances, these companies are making billions of dollars on their signature dances. And the one person who trademarked, I think it's trademarked, I can't remember, it's trademark patent. I think it's trademarked. His dance was Soulja Boy. So that's why you'll never see the Superfly and don't ask me how I know all of this, but that's why you'll never see the Superfly on, these video games, is because, he protected himself. So I think that it really is about musicians are starting to understand it's not the 60s anymore. It's not, the 50s anymore. It's a brand new day, and you've got to start protecting yourself if you want to build a legacy, because that money is going somewhere.
The money's going somewhere. And, just a brief history lesson, Napster really, propelled this industry upside down. Really, music became free at some point in the world, and people didn't realize it until it was too late. They were too big to kill at that point. And so music became free, and people stopped making money, altogether at, during the heyday of Napster. So what happened is no one ever recovered from that, and there is no recovery. There's just moving forward. And so we have Spotify, what takes a little bit more money. You're not going to make still not going to make that money you used to make before. Forget about it. Then we have putting it out on YouTube and Instagram. And in that, the rules for IP protection never changed. Like everything else changed about how you distribute music, the ease, how readily available it was, but how you protect yourself from all these new influences out there never changed. So, but creators have always been the same. They don't like the business process. So, and then technologists will create forms for them to fill out. They'll create new services, new lawyer packages for creators. They'll create new management companies and create all these service-oriented or these documentary and these things that require you to really understand business, or for you to have some kind of knack in that. But the majority of creators will never want to be business people. So how do you get them to still make money, still protect themselves in this space they now live in, without with fully acknowledging that they are not going to want to be a documentarian, a secretary to their own self? And that's where I come in.
You tell them to fix their paycheck.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So then let's talk about blockchain specifically, because one of the things that people sometimes do or often do within blockchain is they will apply they'll have a problem and they apply blockchain to it, and blockchain is not necessarily the solution to their problems. Can you walk us through a little bit of your process of, here your husband has this problem, you think blockchain could be the solution. How did you reconcile that to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to build on a blockchain platform?
So we identified all the problems and all the things that need to happen for a creator to be protected. They need a form that, they need the copyright, they need to identify themselves as owners. And what happens if they don't? Well, if they don't, they have to go to court. Someone uses their stuff, someone makes money from their stuff. They have to battle this out in court. What do they have to bring in court? Well, they have to bring in court some proof that they are the owners of this work. So that's normally email, trends, text messaging, maybe paperwork. The paperwork isn't a copyright, obviously, but sometimes it's a letter. They used to have, or they still have, poor man's copyright, where they'll email themselves, or not email, but mail, physical mail lyrics, get the stamp from the post office, and that's like, oh, I got proof. They have all these things that they're bringing to court, and a lot of times, if you just have a tiny bit more proof, the other person wins. Or if the other person doesn't have them, just enough, they won't win. So we're like, how can we make something that's permissible in court to where people can really take this information as a timestamp, a memorialized entry into a period of time, which is blockchain. But there's other processes that came in. I was hearing about blockchain in the music space. I was hearing about blockchain as contracts in the legal space, and smart contracts. And I heard all of that the noise. I saw companies implementing that, trying to do away with labels altogether and middleman altogether, and saying, you know, fans, you can just buy direct music and just buy tokens, and creators, you can bring your own coin up, you know, all of that I was hearing. But what I knew for sure, because I did the research and I spoke to over 2,000 people over the last 2 years, is that creators have a hard time even using PowerPoint. They have a hard time. They have a hard time making a square box. God bless them. They could do some banging songs, but they have a hard time with technology in general. I'm not talking about even your super producers who are buying these mega expensive audio machines.
Mm-hmm.
They still can't transition from an audio workstation, super duper complicated Photoshop looking, you know, platform, to a Trello or a or a Slack. They're not going to use Slack. They don't know how to use Slack. That might be deemed complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So to give them off that this new, disruptive, innovative way of doing things, and for them to understand and want to do it when they already have anxiety over documents and things like that, is just a mistake. So, you know, and I think it's a mistake in a lot of different areas in different industries outside of finance and, you know, very serious, you know, industries. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, that's really good solutions in essence. And I would love to bring that solution to people one day once they understand the importance. But they have to understand the importance first.
Right.
So with me, what I want them to get to do is have a record that's protected, that's memorialized, and that they have control over. That's it. Let's just start there. You know, they don't even have to know it's blockchain. All they have to know is if they have to go to court, they have this record that can be permissible, and the judge can say, yes, this is proof. Let's just start there. And that's where I came up with it.
So does your platform also help them so they don't have to go to court at all, so that somebody would be able to look and review the ownership documents and say, you know, hey, I don't want to mess with this because it is on the blockchain, or I'm going to reach out to this person and pay them?
Yes. It's supposed you know, you've seen those ADT signs in front of people's house.
Mm-hmm.
We want it like that. Like if you're using our platform to share documents, instead of using Dropbox and Google Docs, whatever you're using, if you're using it to share documents for music purposes and write music and chat and do all the things you would do out in several different systems, then we are protecting your work. And everyone should know that we blockchain this shit. My language. Be afraid. Do not come here to come play. So that's the essence of what we want our branding to be about. We are a safe place to work and collaborate. Yes, when you're finished, you can publicly share your song. It's kind of like an IMDb page. You know, you type in your name, or your LinkedIn page. Type in your name. You type in the song name or whatever. It will come up. This is protected. Here's who are the creators. Here's their contact information if you want to buy this piece of music. We don't sell music, but you can, you know, we'll link to places where this music can be sold, or you can contact this person's manager, what have you.
Perfect. So Audrey's asking a question here. She's asking, what has been some of the biggest roadblocks that you've faced in building your platform?
Money. You know, as an African American woman, the thing is, when you have a startup and you have an idea, a lot of times, you know, to our counterparts, you know, Caucasian counterparts, they get money to fund their idea. Mm-hmm. They get money to make mistakes and play around and find the product market fit. Unfortunately, you know, we don't have those opportunities as women, as African American women. So it was me spending so much time looking for that approval off bat, and thinking that was the norm and wasting time trying to do that. The reality of the situation, I had to sell my dream to people who had the skill set to help me build it. I had to find a CTO, get him to buy into this idea and the dream of it being a unicorn. I had to get him to know enough to sell to a front end and a back end developer, and then form a whole team on people who really believe in the mission and the value and who want to move on forward with me. Then, so I got the pilot done from those folks. Next, I got a little bit of money. Then I knew how to sell. So I had to sell to some of my family members which is like 4 of them, who had a little money to invest. So I raised, $25K from them. Then, I know how to pitch now, right? I did all this practice on getting folks. This is like a series of steps. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply for some stuff. Applying for accelerators, applying for incubators. Okay, I got in. I got $20,000. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's get some more teams, some more developers on the team. All right, I'll run out of money. What we gonna do next? Developers. Look, we almost finished. And look, I got some signed contracts. People really believe in this. Could you stick with us for a couple more months? I promise you, I'm looking for money. So they owed money at this point. Now I have no choice but to find money because I'm in negative right now on this dream that all these people have said, we believe in it. We believe this idea is viable. So I have to be very creative and really believe that this opportunity is real and start getting customers. Start, getting people to sign up and do all these things. So it really has been about me stop thinking about someone giving me $1 million or $2 or whatever to do something, because I wasn't going to get that at this point. Just now I'm starting to get investors. And it's been a year or so and a couple of, very convincing conversations before I could have done that. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah. Well, as someone, I write business plans for a living, and I have several clients that have raised money and a couple that are raising money now. And it's more so us, yes. But, the first sets of people that always invest are typically family and friends. They put in a little bit of money to get the prototype up and running. And then once the prototype is up and running, they'll get a little bit more money for the next milestone and a little bit more money for the next milestone. So, so it's very interesting, the capital markets. The other thing is that raising money is 10 times harder than you'll ever think it can be. You have to have a lot of meetings with a lot of people in order to do it. But what I like about you, and I'll say this just about our cultural in general, is that we are so used to adversity that, we're so used to the no, that there are some communities that if they didn't have $500,000 to get the prototype done or the beta test done, they fall apart, whereas we're like, okay, well, next, I think I'll find some team members to sell them on it. So,
you're so right.
You're obviously a great salesperson, and I don't mean sales in a negative way, but you have to be a great visionary and a great communicator, and thus a great salesperson, because you're selling people on this dream to come in and take a piece of promised equity for helping you build and develop it. So
I think I mentor women for Digital Undivided, and even just women who may ask stuff, and that is the biggest hurdle. That was something I had to learn how to do. That wasn't something that I was like, in corporate America, we had money. I was brought in there with a budget. I didn't have to convince people to work and do all that stuff. So that skill set was not something that I had going into this. I was just, a little hermit at you can compare me to that. So that was the biggest lesson is what you're saying, you know, learning how to sell your business and sell yourself as the expert is extremely important in order for you to get money, and knowing what actually having the answers, and that comes with time. But in the beginning, I could say, they don't, you know, it's not about me being Black. It's really about me not really knowing that much yet.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I do know my stuff now. I know it. I know a lot. And I'm still not getting it. Oh, something's wrong here. I got to, you know, figure a way around this. So, you know, figuring a way around people just, you know, maybe underestimating you right out the box is, I had to figure out that answer too. And that's really, you know, speaking, being out there, being, you know, making people aware of what you're doing and why it's important, and getting them through just peer posting, like Instagram posting about this, you know, folks have, you know, brought them, can you speak at my thing? You know, that's important when, you know, typical situations, folks are unestimated in the subject. So you have to kind of just figure it out and just be inventive. Yeah.
Well, I will say something else, and that is the people that I know that have raised money have always done it because they've known a person or some people. I just worked with this group that raised $600,000 in order to get through phase one of their business, and it's because they knew people. So I always tell people, if you think you're going to raise money in the next couple of years, start making those connections now. Start getting to know people now, you know, because you can't meet someone off the street and say, hey, invest in my business.
They're invested in you. They're investing in you.
They're investing in you, and they're investing in the fact that they typically know you, you know. The other thing that I will say, and this is something my group knows this, I've been talking about this for a while. I've been talking about, like, as a community, if we had, let's say 1,000 people who put $100 each into a project, that's $100,000. Like, having this group of people that would pick a project of the month. So, you know, we would all say, okay, we're going to hear Farah's pitch. We like Farah's pitch. She, you know, we're all going to put in $100 for Farah. And then the next month, somebody else comes and we say, yeah, that's a good pitch. We're going to help her build that prototype. Because once you have your prototype built, it is easier to get money. It's easier to get to the door. So
that is so true.
Yeah.
I love that idea. Whenever you're starting it, let's do it.
Well, it's already partially been started. I don't know if Tawana's on tonight, but she runs, no, she doesn't run it, but she's a part of Blockchain Investor Group International. And that's what they're building, an investment club for blockchain projects. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your CTO in terms of how you found that person, how you knew they had the right skills, because as someone who's a non-coder, how did you really know he or she had the right skills to help you?
Well, in the beginning, in hindsight, I didn't know what I needed. I knew I could have a coder. I mean, it's like, yeah, I need a coder. I need a CTO. But what does that mean to my business? And I'm trying to figure this out myself. How can I direct a coder properly? How can I, direct a CTO properly? I don't know. I didn't know what I didn't need. I just started looking for a CTO. I was like, if anything, I need someone to manage my technology and my vision. So the first thing I did, I did Indeed, and I put out a rec for a CTO, and people, I got some really qualified folks, and what they were asking me was questions I didn't have answers to. And I was like, dang, I should probably know that. They're asking me for some real deep, system questions. I'm looking for someone to help me with these questions they're asking me. So I was like, I think I need help figuring out these questions so I can even know how to answer for a good quality CTO. So I Googled the top development companies in Atlanta, and a series of companies came up, and I called one. I was like, hey, I'm looking to get a project done. Do you mind if, can we have a sales call? And they had a sales call. They had a salesperson and a architectural salesperson on the call. And I pretty much went through what I was trying to do. And I was like, I don't know this part, but, I want you guys to help me figure it out. And the architectural salesperson was just like in it with me. He was like, yeah, I understand that. So you want a Merkle tree, you want that. And I was like, that's what it's called. We were like vibing. And I was like, and he just was answering. He was like in my mind and collecting my thoughts to make this one thing. Mm-hmm. And, I left that conversation. They were trying to charge me like $500,000, $1 million. And I was like, well, good for you. I don't even want information. Like, if you want that's such a little good trick. If you want information, sorry, you're going to have to waste somebody's time. But call a nice professional company and try to get them to sell you something. And you can come out a little bit smarter. So I went out still looking for CTOs, and nobody vibed with me the way that guy was vibing with me. So after a couple of months, I was like, I wonder. I'm at the end of it. I wonder. And I went on LinkedIn, found him, and I was like, you wouldn't happen to know anyone who want to be my CTO that's kind of like you? And he was like, how about me? Wow. And so that's who came, and and it wasn't this it wasn't the end of the story, because he didn't know how to be a CTO. He was when we started, he didn't know what he was doing, and I was like, yo, you got any day now before I'm like, we ain't signed, no kind, we have an understanding this is a trial, and it took a while. It took like 4-5 months, and him seeing my dedication, him seeing how I work on my leadership skills, work on being a CEO, how I'm like trying, and I don't have all the answers, but I go seek the answers and I seek mentorship. It took him seeing me be a leader for him to step up and try to be a CTO and a leader in the company. And now I have no complaints. I mean, I almost let him go a couple of times, and he will tell you that. But it worked out for us in this situation. But I wasn't afraid to get him on, even though I didn't know his skills, because I've already talked to mentors who had 5, 6, 7 CTOs, mm-hmm. and because how they set up their agreements with those CTOs on trials, or you're not vested in the company until year 4. Mm-hmm. They let them, if it wasn't working out, there wasn't any fear of let it go. So mm-hmm. I didn't know that. But once I figured that out, it was like, okay, I have wiggle room. Mm-hmm. So that's how I found them.
Very cool. Because, that's the frightening thing for people who are not coders is how do you leverage that and do that? On the other mm-hmm. hand, though, there are a lot of great people who are, fabulous with the technology, but they don't know how to sell or how to connect and make relationships, raise money. So I always encourage people, if that's your thing, if you're the social person or whatever, going to conferences, mm-hmm. finding great projects and saying, hey, I can be that other coin for the technology as well. And then you need a trial, a trial mm-hmm. CEO or whatever.
Yeah. You trial C. And another thing to remember, because there's layers to all of these things as you get into it, is that he's been a leader in technology and with managing groups. Mm-hmm. So he's not, and he has kids. He's not the person to code all day. He hasn't done that in years, and he's not going to be that good at it anymore because mm-hmm. he sends people out to go do that. Right. So I was expecting him to come in and start coding our whole stuff, just like they do on TV. And he wasn't doing that, and he was too slow, and it was taking us so long. So I was like, dang, so you mean I hired you, and now I got to go hire somebody else? I felt cheated.
But that's what a real CTO does, yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought everyone was telling me a CTO and a startup need to go code all day. But they tell me that, oh,
They
CTOs have
manage.
kids and, have to manage and have to be really good at managing. So
Yeah.
now he's brought all these people on board under him, and he has a tight run system, code check, Trello board, stories. He got the whole gamut in an engine, and he is so talented with that I couldn't do that. Who was going to do that? He had the skills to do that. My coder I was going to hire wasn't going to do that. They're going to sit there and code. So when you're dealing with blockchain, you're dealing with very complex systems and infrastructure. You're going to need all these things in place. And I wouldn't be able to afford someone like him. I mean, he's top quality when it comes to that. But I was expecting him to code, and it took me a while to realize that's not really what I needed. I needed him, and he needed to form a team. And that's what happened.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's very inspiring for people. So
yeah.
Final couple of questions for you. Number one is, where is the Labz headed?
Yay.
Next few years.
The next 2 years. Well, in the next month, we've been accepted into release it for it's a South by Southwest competition. And a release, like a national global release. So we're one of 10 companies accepted to do that. So we are, we are on the gun to make sure that our product is finished by March 8th. And since October, we've been in beta testing, and every week we've had 10 to 15 artists in our office testing out our stuff, telling us if it sucks or not. Because mind you, they ain't gonna use it if it doesn't work to their workflow. So it's so important for us to make something that they want, and that's what we've been focused on. So we're accepted to an accelerator called Quake Capital, which we're excited about. That's in LA. So we'll be in LA for the next 3 months in March as well. We have customers already that's already signed up for the platform. We're focused on B2B customers because they come with a vast membership of folks, and they want to pay for the licenses per their creators. So in the next 2 years, we hope to just infiltrate every city, all the big major markets globally. I'm from Jamaica, and Jamaican people are notorious for not copywriting or protecting their music. Reggae music always being stolen. And then you have, the Caribbean islands in general. You have Nigeria, and you have, stuff going over there. They're not seeing their money because of the issue that we're solving. So, to expand our product, to be able to serve those markets from around the world, creators who are underserved with technology, because people aren't making technology that they want to use. So it's our goal to bring it to them. Also, our technology, if you are listening, can be used in other areas. So it can be used in the literary world, script writing, comedy, anything that needs to be protected when you're sharing, anything that could be copyrighted, and you don't want to fill out a copyright form. Also, going into other standardized non-complex contracts. So, bridging the gap between what you need a lawyer for, what you don't need a lawyer for. You just need data to put in, and you just don't want to put the data in, and we'll do it for you. So there's tons of places we can go, tons of partnerships within labels, digital distribution companies, as well as the Amazon and the book publishers of the world, where we make their life easier, because we can just send them data right after people are finished working, instead of them having to wait for someone to submit something to them. So much to do we're just focused on the next 90 days, honestly. So we can focus on.
You know what? Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to take it in. There's this book called like the 12-week year, and it basically tells you to chunk your year down into 12 weeks and to focus on like one major thing every 12 weeks. And it's this whole philosophy, and it's the truth. It really does help. It does work.
I gotta read that. Read that. It's never enough reading. In education.
Yes. And then we have another gentleman in our group, Eric Spence, who is also into music publishing. I don't know if the two of you know each other, but he's going to be super excited when he hears.
No.
Yes. Yes, because
Yes.
he's been wanting to do things with the blockchain and music
Mhm.
publishing as well. So
Nice.
his partner in crime, Talisha, is on here tonight. So we've got to make sure that we get Eric to connect with you, because this is going to
Yes,
be
girl. Talisha, get him let's talk with Eric.
So my final question is always about who are you hiring? Because we have
Mhm.
a group of blockchain consultants with all
Mhm.
sorts of expertise, skills, backgrounds, located in all sorts of areas. Like, is there
Mhm.
anybody right now that you are looking for in terms of team members?
Yes, we are. One of our blockchain consultants, she got tapped to the co-founder somewhere, so she's gone. So we're down to one, and we would love someone who is passionate about solving this problem, and who can really have some vision around where do we go next, and how do we incrementally introduce this powerful technology to the creative community.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested, I put my email on here as well,
Yeah.
to come and sit. Even if you kind of just want, even if you're just starting in the process, we're welcoming in all of that. My CTO, who's a white guy, and there's 3 white guys on the development team. He said he's not hiring any more white guys. He's done with that. He's looking for Black women. He wants a Black woman. So, I mean, he has a preference for a Black woman, but if you're a Black dude or a Latina or Latinx, he'll take that too. But he's like, no more white guys. So, sorry, white guys out there, if y'all speaking on this call.
No, I see everybody's name and everybody's Black here. So
Okay.
okay, so definitely it sounds like a strategic advisor, a blockchain consultant strategic advisor is what you're looking for. Maybe a little bit of a board of advisors or something like that. So yeah, definitely we'll connect you with Eric as well, because I think that he'd be very interested in speaking with you further.
Awesome.
And does anyone have any last questions for Farah? Because she's going to be producing the South by Southwest, so we need to let her go back to her job of getting this together. Any final questions? Otherwise, I just want to remind everybody that the smart contract class has dropped. It's at blockchainstudies.tech, that we've got our cyber and blockchain class happening February 12th, our healthcare and blockchain class on February 19th, and our financial services and blockchain class on February 25th. We've got all sorts of blockchain platform demos happening, so stay tuned to your emails for that. There's so much happening within BBC. If you want to make money in the blockchain, you can do it. There are a ton of ways, and that's really what we're trying to prove. Also, if you know someone like Farah who is either running a blockchain platform or is a blockchain influencer, doesn't necessarily have to be a Black person, just somebody who can come and bring the organization some great value. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please send an email to Audrey or connect with Audrey Taylor if you have somebody like Farah that wants to be interviewed or you think we should interview. So I don't see any questions. You did a really great job, Farah. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thanks for having
any
me.
words you have for us before we go?
I'm just appreciative of you guys having this platform for us to, really express our ideas and our, innovations in the world. And, I just encourage everyone just to go for it and ask for help, because people like me, I'm starting myself and I always have to ask other people, but don't be afraid to ask for help. We don't want nobody wasting time on doing anything that they can be doing right away. So I'm here if anyone needs me. I know people are here for me. So if you want to help me, please, email me. But, let's all help each other, because there's, like you said, there's so much out there and there's so many deep things that we don't even see. There's surface things, and then there's deep-rooted things that we need to know, and let's just tell each other and teach each other so we can all prosper.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Farah, for being here tonight. And thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.